So tonight, we'll let you know from ancient times with the Babylonians and Old Testament writings through the New Testament and current works like C.S. Lewis, the depth of friendship has been considered to be one of the central human experiences in our life. Share a quick story with you that demonstrates this. Just out of high school, I was invited by some friends. When I was living in Washington, I was invited up to Vancouver, Canada to go to a concert. It was a Christian concert, kind of in the format of Woodstock. There's a whole bunch of groups come together and they spend 2 days up there and just kind of, sing a bunch of praise songs, and it's a great gathering. Well, those of you that know me well know that my brain doesn't really work too well with my internal clock and calendar. I forgot what the date was. And so I tooled from Seattle, Washington up to Vancouver, and I showed up a day or a weekend early. And when I showed up, the friends that invited me, they were actually having a wedding for one of their other friends. So I come knocking on the door and open it, and they say, yeah, what are you doing here? So I was like, well, I'm here for the concert. And he said, it's next weekend. So I was like, well, okay, what do I do now? I'm in Vancouver, so let me spend the day up here. So I spent the day in Vancouver, totally by myself. Towards the end of the day, I realized that without friends, your life really stinks. It's just, you're lonely, you're depressed, and I sat next to a lake up there in Vancouver towards the end of the day before I came home and just was very sad because I didn't have anybody to experience the day with. So tonight I want to share with you how friendships are a unique source of encouragement. They're a unique source of correction and counsel in our lives. And in the end, I hope to inspire you to develop deep friendships in your own life and be thankful for the ones that you have. Friendships can be an encouragement in our life. The Webster's Dictionary defines friendship as people that share such sentiments of esteem, respect, and affection that they seek companionship and the welfare of the people that are around them. As an example in my own life, when I was in high school, I was dating a girl for a couple years, and my best friend that I had been around for about 7 or 8 years now, I pretty much just completely ignored him for those 2 years that I was dating this girl. Those in high school might be able to understand how that works. You get involved and everything else in your life just kind of disappears. Well, after 2 years, the relationship ended, and my friend was there the next day. I called him up and I said, hey Josh, we broke up, I'm kind of brokenhearted, and he said, hey, let's go see a movie. He dropped whatever he was doing that day, he left work early, and he spent the day with me. That is a friendship of encouragement, that no matter what we do, no matter how far we go away from them, they're always there to encourage us. An Old Testament example can also be seen in the life of David and Jonathan. This is a relationship that was full of encouragement, and it was full of the two not looking out for their own welfare, but the welfare of the person that they were with. Friendships are also a source of correction. In New Testament, Jesus tells us in John 15:13, no one has greater love than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friend. If you have that type of love that you would lay down your life, then you certainly have the type of love that's going to correct a friend when they're going wrong. Many of us in our Christian walks, we walk away from God sometimes, and we get on a dark path. And as we're down there, hopefully you all have a friend that will grab you by the collar and yank you back and say, hey, what are you doing? Come back to the correct path. I had that friend. Went through a dark period in my time. I experienced the wrong relationships. I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol. And a very dear Christian friend of mine who's now a pastor grabbed me by the collar and he said, Joe, what are you doing? This is not you. This is not where you want to go in life. Come back. Come back to where you need to be. We can see an example in the New Testament with Jesus and Peter. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And yet in the end, Jesus came back and forgave Peter and said, feed my flock, take care of my church. And he gave him a position of authority within the church. That is a relationship of correction. In relationships, we also find counsel and advice. There's no real good way of saying this other than that when we live our lives, we all go in many different directions. We have a lot of things we have to do. We choose between dating this person or someone else, or marrying this person or that, or taking this job or taking that job, or moving, or whatever it is. And a lot of these decisions become very difficult in our lives to make. And so usually what we do is we go to our friends, those that know us best, those that know what our goals and our objectives are in life, and we ask them for their wise, their counsel. And we ask them, hey, what should I do in this situation? Another New Testament example of a relationship that demonstrated counsel and advice is found in Paul and Timothy. That when Timothy broke off from Paul and he went to start the church, Paul gave him the counsel and the wisdom that he needed in order to do what God wanted him to do. Even though Timothy was very young and probably very scared, and when he was doing, Paul was there, and Paul gave him the advice. In closing, I want to read a quote from C.S. Lewis in his book called The Four Loves. He says, "To the ancients, friendship seemed the happiest and most fully human of all loves. It's the crown of life and the school of virtue." If you have friendships, deep, sincere friendships, I encourage you to thank your friends for choosing you. Because really, friendship is a choice. You choose the people that you want to be friends with because you have common interests, you have common goals. And so you choose those people, and someone has chosen you to be their friend. So I encourage you to thank them. Take time out of your busy schedule to let them know you appreciate them choosing you. Also, if you're in a friendship, take serious the responsibilities that we have to encourage and to correct and to counsel our friends. Take that time, take your responsibilities seriously. So I just thank you for your time tonight, and that'll end the speech.